Shaka!
What we've just seen.
I thought it was an incredible game of football, as you rightly described. Two of world football's powerhouses, so much at stake, particularly for the Germans, and it showed. And Elemi was right. When Spain are in this kind of mood, when they possess the ball, it's all about making sure you keep your discipline and don't offer them too much. And I thought Germany did a very good job of that for all their possession. Yes, they incredible save by Manuel Neuer very early on, but outside of that, not an awful lot to really worry, to really worry the Germans. And then the goal scored, and Elemi is right to point to Morata, his role in this team with Luis Enrique. Really good finish. I mean, the way he just goes past Schiller. There are question marks about him defensively, but let's not harp on that. Let's look at the positives, and the positives here were Morata sitting right on Schiller's shoulder, who lost sight of him for just a moment, and that's all that he needed. Perfectly timed ball in by Jordi Alba. Really good finish, and this time Manuel Neuer could do nothing. But then that sparked the Germans to life, and what you saw, I thought, was really incredible in their response. Had they lost, they're out. With a point, as you all were breaking down, they're still in. They now have to go and beat Costa Rica. Spain have to beat Japan. Both of those are very possible in a group that just thrown us so many twists and turns in just two match days. We have no idea what's going on anymore. So predict what happens after the third game at your peril. But right now, at least if you're Germany, you're still in it. You're still in the conversation.
Oh, they had to be, didn't they? It could not have ended for another group stage in this way for Germany, especially with the quality of players that they have on the pitch, LME.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We got a question here brought up to us, and I might as well just read it verbatim and then answer it as a group. But questions about Hansi Flick coming in. I've always had my hesitation about this German side. We talked about it in the preview, just because I feel that when it's your first tournament, when it's your first World Cup, in-game management and experience can be so crucial. Lionel Scaloni proved it in the first game. He learned a little better against Mexico. Hansi Flick shown it today. But I thought today Hansi Flick showed why he is the right manager for Germany, because the Spanish side, they looked like three Godzillas against Costa Rica. And there we were thinking, Costa Rica, you're awful. But they beat Japan 1-0, who coincidentally beat Germany. So to me, I thought Hansi Flick did a very good job. I don't think he's out of his depth. I think that he's a manager that's still learning. And let's remember, there are many components in this German side that are very young. I mean, my favorite player, Musiala, is 19 years old.
Everyone's favorite young German.
I mean, join the list, right? Okay, join the list, right? But, I tweeted, I was like, Musiala is art. And then I got some replies saying, yeah, but he's got a few years to learn. I'm like, of course he has a few years to learn, but he's 19 and he is art. He's amazing. But my point being that this German squad, there's so much to mold yet for Hansi Flick. And I think it's going to happen. Whether it happens in this World Cup, I'm not sure. I had them getting out of this group. Obviously, as Shaka said, there are still so many things that need to happen. But Hansi Flick is the right person. Hopefully, he'll keep teaching them and the Germans will be learning. But getting this point against a very strong Spain, Shaka, is a great thing.
In fairness, just a response from Hansi Flick, just to add, after losing that first game, to make changes, to bring Goretzka in, his substitution off the bench has made the difference for him.
Yep.
I think that he's got to get some credit too, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think Hansi Flick got it right today. And let's be honest, it could have been so awfully wrong had Spain held on to that result, but they needed to get something. And for me, the most impressive thing was the response to going behind. As you mentioned, Kay, the changes made, the way that this team upped their tempo and started to attack Spain a whole lot more. I thought they managed the game well. And yes, Hansi Flick deserves as much credit for that as he got criticism for their loss against Japan. But speaking about Musiala, and we had this discussion earlier today about Fernandes in Argentina, about these young players just kind of almost not recognizing the gravity of the situation and how desperately Argentina needed it in Fernandes. And I think Germany needed it in Musiala today. And the role that he played in the goal, the role that he played just kind of running and taking on the Spanish defense and giving them something different to think about was needed. Yes, you're right. He still has a lot to learn, but at some point you just need somebody to do something different, to pose a different threat to the opposition, and at least unsettle them so the more kind of organized, more strategic football can have an impact. Because otherwise, what you have is teams kind of nullifying each other and waiting for that one moment of brilliance. Musiala, like Fernandes, I thought were exactly what their teams needed, the game needed at exactly the right point.
Yeah, incredibly, Musiala as well, one of the first names on the team sheet for Bayern Munich as well, just tells you everything at that age. The leadership even that he's got on the pitch at such a young age, he really is. Maybe it is that bravado that comes with youth. There's another question though, Luis, as to what Germany are actually lacking most in this tournament. And I know you've got some thoughts on that because we've actually spoken about this.
Yeah, a number 9, to be honest with you. You know what's really funny? I feel like in many ways...
Nicholas Fulkrug.
Exactly. Let him just come back. No, I think actually Germany are... if Harry Kane was German, Germany would be perfect. Because I think that everything that they do so well entering the final third points to a number 9 that can just finish off the things that they're trying to build, run off the last defender, set pieces, etc. They just need that clinical number 9. They get that, and they become what you were saying before, Kay, that Germany that everybody was scared of, the closer years, etc. Those years were so clinical for Germany because they were the complete product. They were clinical. They knew how to pass the ball. They knew how to counter. They were physical, and they had somebody who could finish it off. England wish they could build it like Germany. They are just lucky that they have a number 9. So that's why I keep thinking about somebody like Harry Kane. But if they just had a number 9 in this squad, I think things would be so much easier for Hansi Flick.
Let's add James Olley into the party, shall we? Because we've just seen a wonderful World Cup game. This is what the World Cup is all about. What did you make of it, James?
Yeah, well, what a difference a striker makes. I mean, that was really the game turned on those two forwards. And, Luis is right in terms of Germany. That was a huge gamble. I think when the subs were coming up, I think people thought Havertz. And if he'd not brought Havertz on and they'd lost that game, I think the knives would have been out big time for Hansi Flick there. But the fact that striker call has paid off for him is a huge credit to him for recognising that. You're talking about Harry Kane there. One of the issues with Gareth Southgate at the moment is about his in-game substitutions and whether he's being proactive enough and taking risks. Well, what Hansi Flick did there was take a huge risk with his reputation, with Germany's tournament at stake. But also, you look at Spain. I mean, Alvaro Morata, I think by his own admission, he's quite a mentally fragile player. I saw him a lot when he was at Chelsea in London, and the sort of weight of the world, body language he had on his shoulders a lot of the time. I think Luis Enrique has been really, really careful with him in managing him through that. And I thought that finish reminded me a little bit of Olivier Giroud, the sort of the finish ahead of the near post, which is such a difficult, delicate thing to get right. And that finish was absolutely superb, very, very Giroud-esque. And, look, you can criticise Spain when they score 7 in their first game. But, the debate about whether you can win a tournament these days, or this tournament in particular, without a number 9, without a recognised centre forward, that sort of took a bit of a blow in this game, really, because both teams were clearly better when they had a focal point and someone who could play through the middle and a finisher effectively.
After seeing them come back then, Shaka, I mean, I'm saying come back, obviously they're just under draw in this, but mentally, Germany coming back in this game, still bottom of the group, but it is still a chance that they can qualify and get through to the knockout rounds. Given what you've seen in this game, would you bet against them progressing now?
No, I before a ball was kicked, I had both these teams going through, Spain and Germany, in that order. And right now, I'm sticking by it because, as we mentioned, and as much as this group has kind of thrown us for twists and turns, it's still highly probable that Germany beat Costa Rica. Still highly probable that Spain beat Japan, which sees the Germans through. That's just going purely on form, purely on reputation, purely on squad depth. I say that recognizing that this is a tournament that's turned all three of those things on its head from time to time, more so this World Cup than any other. So it's still still a very good chance that Japan turns things on their head, that Costa Rica throw a span in the works. But as we sit right now, if I had to put a bet on it, I would still think I would put a bet on Spain to beat Japan, Germany to beat Costa Rica, which obviously means Spain and Germany going through.
You still going for that, Luis?
Yeah, and not much more to add. I mean, maybe Spain might rotate a little bit in that third game, but I don't know. I still see Spain and Germany going through in that order, which luckily for me, so I'm not a complete embarrassment, is what I predicted in my brackets. I think it's the only group that I got right. Everything else is an absolute.
The thing with that, LME, is Spain rotates.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Takes that gamble,
yeah,
and next thing Japan surprises them. You know.
Yeah.
And you're, as much as we're talking about getting out of the group, there's also value to be had of topping a group. So there's a lot that Spain can't really take for granted because of how weird this group has played out. So you have to kind of almost go full strength, and if it works out that way, win it in the first 45 and then rest players if you like in the second half.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.